Hey y'all, it's Emily Jane Lee, and in this video I'm going to show you the free website you can use to resize a lot of very large images at once, very easily and quickly, so that you can use them on your website without slowing down your site. So this is important because if you use the original file sizes for your photos, if you got them back from a photographer from an event, or if you downloaded them from a stock image website, a lot of the times they are just way too big for a web size image. So like I'm hovering over this image right here in my files, and you can see that the dimensions are 3350 by 5025. Now, what you really want to aim for is to have the longest side of the image be in between 1500 to 2500 pixels. So this one is like at least twice as big as it needs to be. And for the file size, it's best to aim in between like 500 kilobytes to 1 megabyte. Somewhere in there is perfect. And the reason that's important is because if when people are using a website, no one wants to wait around for it to take a while to load, and Google can also pick up on that stuff, and that negatively affects your search engine ranking too. So that's why we want to resize these before we use them. So let's say that I'm a makeup artist and I went through all my work and I decided that these are going to be the best group of images to represent my brand and attract my ideal client and all that good stuff. I'm only going to show you 15 images right here, but you can do a lot more than that if you want to with this. So you're going to go to the website RedKetchup.io, and when you get there, you're going to click on the bulk image resizer, because that's what's going to allow us to process multiple images at once. And this is the only website that I've come across that lets you do that without having to work in lots of small batches or just doing one picture at a time. So you can start by clicking the Add Images button here towards the top of the page, and it'll open up your files on your computer. Or I'm going to, since I already have my images opened up here, I'm going to select them all and then click and drag them into the window, and they are going to get loaded in very quickly, just like that. So once they are loaded in, you're going to go to the next section, which is Configure Batch. And there's only two things you need to worry about here. The first one is basically you're going to specify what do you want them to do with the image. So you can resize by a lot of different criteria. The one that I like to do that I feel like gives me the best control is to resize by the longest side of the image. So like I mentioned before, you want your longest side to be somewhere between 1500 to 2500 pixels. So I feel like a good safe number is 1800, and that should work for you whether you're using that image as like a full width banner image, or you're just going to use it as something small kind of off to the side on the page. That should be a good pixel count for you to work with. And then the only other thing you really need to worry about here is the quality. So you can totally leave this as 92, but if you lower that number to, let's say, like 85% quality, that's just going to bring your file size down even more. So it's going to optimize that image even more to make it to make your website even just a little bit faster. And you can play around with these numbers if you want to see like how small can I make these images before we start to lose some of that visual quality and some of that resolution. You can play around with it and test it out. But these are the go-to numbers that I typically stick with just as like a safe bet. So once that is set, then you will just go to the last section, which is to process batch. You can click the process batch button and it'll do its thing. And it usually just takes a few minutes, depending on how many images you're working with. And you can see that it's already reducing it by like, it's going to take off like 80% of that excess weight, if you will, from these images. And so that's amazing. So once that's done, it's going to have a green check mark. And at that point, you will be able to click this Download All button. And it's going to download a zip file to your computer, and it's the file folder is going to be called RedKetchup. So you can open that up, export the images, And those are going to be your new resized images that are ready to use on your website and optimized for you. So this is the best free tool that I have found by far for optimizing your images. And so I hope that that is super helpful for you.